Tonight, we're diving deep into what the Trump administration is doing with Venezuela. This is a story about sanctions, deportations, oil, and even lethal strikes at sea.
After a series of deadly U.S. strikes against boats the Trump administration says were smuggling drugs into the U.S., tonight we're learning the latest strike had a twist. At least 2 people on board survived the blast, according to 2 U.S. officials.
Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserves. For decades, the United States has tried to influence who controls them. Sanctions began under Chavez, expanded under Obama, and under Trump, both terms, they have reached new extremes. Today, the Trump administration is doing 3 big things. First, launching strikes on boats in the Caribbean, alleging they're tied to Venezuela's Tren de Aragua cartel. Second, squeezing Caracas with sanctions while toggling oil licenses. Third, deporting Venezuelans from Texas to El Salvador's massive Secot prison under the Alien Enemies Act. An unprecedented legal move already facing court challenges. Prisoner diplomacy. Here's where it gets unusual. El Salvador's president floated the idea of swapping Venezuelan deportees for so-called political prisoners in Caracas. I mentioned this earlier in an earlier episode on Behind the Curtain.
And so the president of El Salvador said, oh, well, since they're in my country, I'll give them back to you as long as you release the prisoners you're holding from our country, who are hardened criminals, who really are clearly guilty. And it's putting the president of Venezuela in a weird place.
Venezuela called it a stunt. Still, it shows how prisoners are becoming bargaining chips in a geopolitical chess match. Maduro's response? Crackdowns at home, fresh emergency powers, and a rallying cry that Washington is committing piracy at sea and stealing Venezuela's oil future. The United States says this is about drugs and democracy, but look deeper. Venezuelan crude is still strategic, and keeping Russia, China, and Iran out of America's backyard remains the hidden driver. Stalemate continues. So, what is the result? A stalemate. Maduro stays in power. Venezuelans keep suffering, and the United States keeps flexing military and financial muscle. The danger is escalation at sea, or a new round of proxy confrontation. That is Behind the Curtain. I'm Betsy Jordan. Thanks for being here.